Reason why they struggle, because you can't just throw the football hard and be successful as a quarterback. There's so many other things, let alone going to a franchise that can't support your overall ability. They don't have great skilled guys. They don't have a great deal of depth. They don't have a great offensive line so that he can develop, or a veteran quarterback. You know what would be perfect for him? The same thing Baker Mayfield is getting in Cleveland. Tyrod Taylor starting in front of him, letting him learn, all right? Watching him learn. So he's not ready to play football yet. Besides Lamar Jackson, this guy had more question marks about him throwing the football and if he was ready to be a quarterback. There's going to be some serious growing pains for Buffalo and their fan base with Josh Allen as their quarterback. This is not something that's surprising. This is what we had expected, Nick. This is what you had expected. Man. You were talking about this when he was at Wyoming. Forget about before he even got drafted to Buffalo.
Listen, I said last week, no team in the league had a bigger upgrade at quarterback from last year to this year than the Cleveland Browns. From DeShone Kizer to Tyrod Taylor and eventually Baker Mayfield, no team in the league has a bigger downgrade coming at quarterback than the Buffalo Bills, from Tyrod Taylor to whomever starts, whether it's Peterman, who, to his credit, played well in this game. He played well in this game, played fine this preseason. A.J. McCarron, who at no point, even when he was winning national championships at Alabama, did you say that's an NFL starter, or this guy? And what's the saying? When you're a hammer, everything's a nail. Like, when you have... When you
I have to laugh because, man, he threw some balls in this game. I mean, watching the highlights of this game, it was like the wide receiver this far away from him. And Jenna, let me tell you something. He is... I mean, every single
I mean, it's a 4-yard crossing pattern. And what is he doing? See, he's just throwing his fastball.
And he's hitting them with a hammer.
So then let me ask you this. If we talk so much about how we should just... the owner didn't come out and say it's going to be Josh Allen or bust. And granted, Nate Peterman has all the little jokes behind him. He's had a decent preseason. This is not my version of...
I think Peterman might start.
Listen, this is not my version of Case Keenum. I just want to get on the record and just say he's had a good preseason. He came in and did pretty well for him, given... I mean, he was with the second unit. But still, is it on the table that Nate Peterman starts for the Buffalo Bills?
There is no doubt. You have to be looking at Nate Peterman and also A.J. McCarron. Both of these quarterbacks are a better option for the Buffalo Bills, but it speaks to the New England way. If you got two rookie quarterbacks, you got Josh Allen, and then also we have Jets.
Oh, okay. Oh, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. I mean, my goodness, I would face rookie quarterbacks 4 times during
you're
the
talking
season
about in the division.
England.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, so if the best quarterback in your division that's not on your team is Ryan Tannehill, who hadn't played football, by the way, everyone forgets
Ryan Tannehill, we can fit him for a Hall of Fame jacket.
Ryan Tannehill, by the way, has missed more time than Andrew Luck. Nobody knows this. Nobody cares because Miami somehow, like ever since Shula left, they haven't been a franchise, it would appear. But, like, I mean, Tannehill got injured in 2016 before Luck and has not played since then. He's the best quarterback.
I mean, this is not the recipe for a franchise that made the playoffs last year with Tyrod as their quarterback the first time in how many years, Nick?
17.
17 years, and then you go to 3 experiments. Like, this is not what you want from a franchise. But if you want to make a colossal screw-up, Jenna, put Josh Allen in there.
To start.
Like, you talking about killing a guy's confidence.
Yeah.
Like, he is not ready to play in the NFL. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And the offensive line's bad, and it doesn't help that they traded away one of their offensive linemen to add an extra draft pick so they'd have the capital so they could move up to get a guy like Josh Allen. I get all of it. But this is, thus far, and I know it's early, but it has been what a lot of people expected. A guy that has... that if people remember the old quarterback challenge that used to be, they'd put paint on the footballs and you'd have to hit it on the targets. It would happen the weekend of the Pro Bowl. He would be amazing at that. Amazing at it. But in the actual game, and people say, the offensive line was awful. Okay, it's true, but Nate Peterman found a way in 21 pass attempts to be sacked once behind a similar offensive line. He was sacked 5 times on 12 attempts. Like, he's not ready. And the Bills, I said earlier, I think the Bears in the NFC could be the worst team. I would be shocked if Buffalo wins 4 games. Buffalo is looking like it's going to be the worst team in the AFC this year, and their quarterback situation is an enormous part of it.
All right, good news for the Browns. Unlike the Buffalo Bills, people are finally mentioning them without a joke attached. Other good news, they're getting closer to having wide receiver Josh Gordon back on the field. After no showing for most of training camp, Gordon has been added to the active roster. He will have some work to do recovering from a hamstring injury he suffered last week. But CeCe, what will Gordon's biggest challenge be as he attempts his comeback here? Getting into the offense, dealing with the hamstring injury, the social pressure, the pressure of staying clean and sober. What do you think it will be for him?
I mean, there's a number of things. You're not playing football every day. You're actually fighting for your life. So he has a number of things. I'm glad you mentioned what he's dealing with off the field. It's hard to balance. It's hard to balance, man. When they say inside of the AA program, man, you're basically trying 24 hours. You're just trying to stay clean for another 24 hours. Like, yes, Nick, you brought up stuff a couple weeks ago about this child custody case. Man, this guy's got a lot of things going on that now on the football field, typically that is where your mind is free and where you are ready to thrive. This is what you have, since you were a little kid, wanted to do. But we don't know that with Josh. Man, he's got a lot of things going on. The organization is pulling for him. We need him on the football field and being healthy. So I think him managing his own expectations. Because when you've had a 1,600-yard season in the NFL, it's hard to tell you that you're not a 1,000-yard receiver. But is he a 1,000-yard receiver right now with Jarvis Landry, with Carlos Hyde running the football? I don't know that. Maybe as we get through the season, October, November, that he gets that conditioning that he needs to be able to play 60 plays in a game, because he's not ready to play 60 plays in a game. I think he can make a contribution between 20 and 30 right now, but manage his own expectations in his head and then realize that every day that I'm not drinking, every day that I'm not using drugs, those are touchdowns. Those are first downs in his world. And those are more important than actually what he does on the field. And trying to manage that, Jenna, is going to be the hardest thing. Every day I'm clean, I'm winning. He might get jammed. He might drop a pass. But as long as he stays clean, Josh Gordon is winning. And that's where that will be the ultimate stat for me. It won't be targets. Won't be touchdowns. It won't be catches. Nice. It will that he continues on the right pattern.
I hope he has that mindset. And that's hard. And, like, you're 27 years, 10 months, and however many days. So, like, you've had a long time.
Yeah, and the last year with you has been trouble.
you've had a long time to develop that mindset.
Yes.
My guess is day 32, you had other things in mind as opposed to now. And
I used to set when I woke up in the morning, that I wasn't going to have a drink before noon. And once I got to noon, I would set it for 5 o'clock. And then I would try to make sure after practice that I wouldn't do anything after dinner. Potentially try not to leave my house, because I know that that would increase my chances of being successful. So when you talk about the expectations and what we want him to do, that's how I started out. Because when you're in this program, you start off as a baby. My baby steps was if I woke up at 6, I didn't want to drink for 6 hours. And I used to go in 6-hour increments until I built up the strength, Nick, that, yes, after almost 28 years, it is totally different now.
And so and that's tough to follow, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it just makes me go back to, I don't want to ever forget how hard it was, and just to live. Forget about playing pro football. Like, it was hard to live, and that's the reason why he took the break before training camp, so that he wouldn't have a setback or a relapse.
Chris, let me ask you this. When you were going through that, was football the safe haven for you? Did you feel like when you were on the field, that's when you were protected from all the outside influences, or was that where it was harder to really focus, even though that was something you loved to do because of the outside influence?
It was a safe haven, but it was the only time that my mind wasn't ravaged thinking about using. That's the only time, is when I was actively in the locker room or playing football or around my football buddies. The other times, so I had to build up. I had to trick my mind to think about different things, and I had to build up to get my mind to stay on the things that I needed them to stay on. And those are the things that people in addiction and people who are battling drinking, those are the things that they battle on a daily basis. The problem is, Jenna, we're not on the football field,
Right.
but a small period of time.
And that's why you hope that Josh Gordon feels the same way, that he could be back with this team and hopefully in a safe place.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This organization is doing everything they can. John Dorsey, the coach, man, the support staff there in Cleveland, you guys wouldn't imagine what they're trying to do to get Josh healthy, not just for touchdowns,
right,
because they believe it's important. They believe in the process as far as AA is concerned in giving people a second, third, fourth, or fifth chance in life, whatever it might be.
No, that's great insight into a world that Nick and I don't know that much about. We're going to take a break. Much more first.